just switch back to our Figma file. If we remember what we had with the column layout, we made a 12 column grid which had certain widths and certain gutters on here, so 24 between each one. Now the problem that we have is when we go to smaller columns, and I've just made a quick example over here, we're using pretty much the same idea. So here we've got another 12 column grid, and it looks a little bit like this. So we've got the 64 margin on each side, which is what we've added on the kind of responsive design. And then we've got a gutter, which is actually smaller at 24. But because we've got 12, there's hardly any room for any of the columns. So what do we need to do here? So what we might want to do is actually go down the amount of columns that we have. Something like 4, for instance, might look a lot better at smaller sizes. Maybe even something like 2 would make more sense as well. So what we're going to do is actually reduce the amount of columns that we have in our layout. How do we do this? Well, again, if we go back to our code and we see here that the layout's getting really broken where we get small sizes, roughly around about here, maybe about 660 maybe. This is when we want to switch things down. So here what we're going to do is switch things down in the same way. If we look at our code again and scroll back up, let's find where we set up the grid. So we set up the grid here in our section. We said display grid, and here is where the problem lies. We have a grid, template columns, and we've got 12 columns equal width. What we want to do is overwrite this. We actually want to have something like 4 or 2 or even 1 in this case. So let's fix this. So here what we want to do is at around about 660, we're going to make a new media query just to fix these layouts. And again, I'm going to add some space. And below here, at media, round brackets, because we're going to add an instruction. The maximum width this can possibly be is 660 px. So we need the px in there because it needs to know its pixels that we're talking about. If we have this, we're going to do this. We're going to do something using curly brackets. And again, just to make it easier to read, I'm going to open up these curly brackets. What do we want to fix? Well, here we want to fix all the sections. We're going to overwrite the section tags, and then we're going to overwrite it and do something. What do we want to do with this? Well, we want to overwrite the grid template columns. So grid template columns, not repeat 12 times. We're going to repeat it just 4 or 3 or 2. Let's do that. So grid template columns. We're going to repeat a 4 column grid with 1 fraction. So each grid is going to be 1 exact fraction, and we're going to keep the gutters in place. Maybe we want to reduce the gutters actually, just because we're going a little bit smaller. How big are the gutters right now? The gap is 32 by 32 in both directions. Let's reduce that a little bit more. So the gap here is just going to go down to 24 and 24. Let's see this in action. Let's see what happens. So currently this doesn't really do much. It doesn't really change the site because we haven't gone down that much. But once we hit the media query, you might notice that things start to break. Now the reason that things start to break is this now starts to break the grid because we have things in here that span more than 4 columns. So for instance, I scroll back up, I can see in here there's lots of things like grid column 5. Well, we don't have 5 in a 4 column grid. So we have to go and fix some of this stuff. So the first thing I'm going to fix is my section H1, the tagline area, which is actually up here. This is off center now. So previously this was starting at 2, span 10. We're going to fix this. So I'm going to go into my media query. Still within my media query, I've still got this in here. I'm grouping this together. I've got my section H1, and this grid dash column is going to start at 1 and span 4. So it goes across 100% of the way. So let's see this in action now. This looks a lot better now. So what do we want to do with these sections down here? Well, the same thing. We want to fix things. So we might want to just do the same thing. My section H1 is going to go the full way across. So what I want to do is take, well, all of this stuff really. My section with the project. Inside there is a div.artwork. This is the same. I want it to span 4 columns. So I'm going to take this and this and this and this and this and this and do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is actually just have all of this being on the 4 column grid. And I've got this here. So rather than just repeat myself, I'm going to actually add more styles. So here I'm going to do a comma and then section dot project div dot artwork. And this is just from above. I'm just overwriting this together. As you can see here, it fixes this one. This one is actually a different one. I'm going to fix that a little bit later. So we've got this artwork being fixed. What else do we want to fix? We want to fix section project div description. Let's fix that one, comma, section dot project div dot description. So watch the space in here. I don't have a space in here. I do have a space here, and there's no space there. So now this one fits here, looking pretty good. Now I can do this on the about page as well. So again, my grid is broken. Let's fix this on here too. How do we fix this? Well, the same thing. Now, just to make this not all be on one line, I'm actually going to press enter and enter after the semicolon, just to make it a little bit easier to read. Here, I'm going to do a comma, and then underneath, what do I want to pick? I want to do section.about, the photo. I'm going to put this in here, and the same thing for the description in about as well. So that is here. I'm going to take that and put that in here too. So let's see how that looks on the about page. Much better. Let's see the contact page. Again, this is broken. We want to fix this here. How do we fix that? Well, again, let's find where we set this layout. We said here, this section.contact div.form. So again, just going to put this in here. I'm going to do a comma and put this in. So you can see it's very easy to break this grid, and it's very easy to then reset the grid. We don't have to do one span 4. We can actually really kind of work out the layout itself. But what we should see now, even in a smaller way, these get fixed really, really quickly. Now there's other things you might notice at smaller sizes. So if we go really small, for instance, this navigation starts to break again. Let's actually fix that on the next video.